And we're back.
We're back.
Oh, man.
You know what you do? We're back.
We're back. It is.
So this is going to be episode 17 of R&R. We re-recorded one and it went to Patreon because we had a camera malfunction, meaning I did something I shouldn't have done and it aired. So episode 17 officially is this episode. Unofficial 17 is on Patreon by the time you guys see this. Mm-hmm. We are in the studio. We have the Sony FX3, the Sony FX3, and the Sony A7R Mark V. We have a truss system running. We've got a light here, a light over here. Peaches has got the mixer to her right. She's in charge, ladies and gentlemen.
Crazy.
We are trying new things. And in the new things, we have Steve in studio.
What's up, y'all? How you doing?
We are going to give you guys a brief introduction to Steve and then just do a basic dick podcast where we talk about whatever we want to talk about to get you guys to know who he is, what he's about, and all of that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. Before we do that, do you want to talk about anything?
The women's area is coming along, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah?
I have my lamb's ear wrapped around the microphones. I have eucalyptus to put over the top of the bookshelf. It's looking very...
Poison ivy?
I was going to say Greek goddess.
Mediterranean?
Mediterranean. We could go with that.
Yeah. We'll call it Mediterranean Odyssey.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the vibe we're going for, and I think it's definitely giving that.
So it's 3:20 in the afternoon. We decided at 8 something this morning we were going to do this at 3.
Yep.
And with everything that we've had going on, we only started 20 minutes late, which is kind of astonishing.
Yep.
3 people doing shit gets things done real quick.
Yep. Love it. Many hands make light work.
Yep. All right, Steve. So who are you and what do you do?
Well, real name's Steve Gardner. Everyone just calls me Steve. It's easier because when you see my name written out, nobody can pronounce it right because phonics has failed us. I've been called Stefan, Steven. Steven. That was my favorite one. I was like, are you from Sweden? Yeah, so Steve is just easier. You know what? Just call me anything but late for supper. You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
I would be a little frustrated if I was late for supper because someone didn't call me.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah.
I'm bred and spread Florida. Only spent about 5 years outside of this state, other states, countries, if you will, and things like that. Mm. Born in Pinellas County, Largo, moved here when I was about 10, and then spent every summer back in Pinellas County, getting into nonsense and everything else.
Pinellas County will do that.
You know.
Yeah, no, I do.
Come on.
So when I hired him and we started talking about like places that we hung out, like the fact that we didn't cross paths and like get to know each other sooner is astonishing.
It's weird, right?
Because all of my old stomping grounds are places that you hung out with on a regular. So it was very odd when we first started talking about locations.
Remember that time that we looked up our childhood homes?
Yeah.
And we were literally, the only thing that split us apart was US 19.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah,
Crazy.
it was like, I get goosebumps thinking about that. Like, how did I not run into him at the roller skating rink or downtown St. Pete? Any of that.
Well, with you being in the music scene, downtown St. Pete would have made the most amount of sense because we would go to. Do you remember the Refuge, the church?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
we would get dropped off at the Refuge first because the shows were like $3.
Yep.
So we would get $5 or $10 together. We'd go to the Refuge, and if there was no local shows playing at the Refuge, we'd go to State Theater.
Yep.
And if State Theater didn't have anything we'd want to see, we'd walk to Janice.
Yep.
It was all like a 30-minute ordeal. It wasn't that big of a thing, but you could see I saw Offspring for $7.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like. Shows were very different then.
Yeah, what do they call them? Low-dough shows? Yeah, those were the shit. Seeing Rancid and
saw Rancid
Dropkick Murphys and
never saw Dropkick.
Oh man, they put on a hell of a show, dude. Yeah.
Saw Manson a couple times at Janice.
Yep.
Saw Guar a couple times at Janice. I actually got to see Guar unsuited at Janice.
Oh man,
because somebody asked me to make a delivery for something for them, and I did, and they weren't in makeup yet. That was kind of cool.
We were doing a show in the Brass Mug, the newer Brass Mug, because we destroyed the old one. Is that? It's past the statute of limitations. Anyways, Beefcake Almighty from Guar had a band called Mobile Death Camp, and they had the coolest merch in the world. It said, "Sell the Vatican, feed the hungry." You know, stuff like that.
Wow.
It was real, like, out there. His music was out there. He almost kicked my ass that night because I was a little...
Yeah.
But, yeah, grew up grew up here in Charlotte County, went to Port Charlotte High, then we moved. Ended up at Charlotte High, joined the wrestling team, was an athlete. Wouldn't say I was the best student. Got into a lot of nonsense. I think for me at least, for me to learn about all the bad stuff, like prison and all that other shit, I had to become a tattoo artist. Because my perception at the time, like even when I was a kid, my perception of any of that, that's bad. Okay. Oz was the greatest scared straight ever, especially in the 90s. Have you ever seen Oz?
She's gotten like 6 episodes into the first season.
It gets so much worse.
I actually totally forgot about that show, and I was super into it when we were watching it.
Yeah. So like, I was fortunate enough. I had an uncle that worked for. I'm gonna drop an old name here. Store Cable, before Comcast, and he got free cable, so we got free HBO. And I was up one night when I shouldn't have been up. Yeah. And yeah, Oz came on, and I was like, "What?" I couldn't stop watching. But
how funny is it that Ryan O'Reilly from that show is the All-State Mayhem guy?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? You didn't see that one coming.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he did a little stint on Law and Order. A lot of those guys went to Law and Order, which was really fucking weird to go from prison inmates to police officers.
Right.
Very big jump, but he didn't stay on the show very long, and now he's a commercial guy.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think of even the guy that played Tobias Beecher. That guy, he was on Law and Order, and he did other. I'm pretty sure he was, but he did other shows like NCIS and CSI, and like it's funny, those groups of guys that are forever typecasted in those roles.
He did something not too long ago where he was like an FBI special agent or CIA special agent.
Blacklist?
Maybe. It was a super popular show.
Was it with James Spader?
I don't know. I know that when they brought him in, I'm like, oh shit, the dude's got a burn in his ass because of what?
Okay, that traumatized me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that show was vicious. Oz was vicious.
Yeah.
Little show that and that guy ended up going on to being Spider-Man's photo guy. Working for the Daily Press or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You can't see that. Like, how do you go from playing a white supremacist, like head of the Aryan, whatever the fuck they were in that show, to Spider-Man?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Right?
And
That
was wild.
If you ever saw that, what's that band movie where he beat Whiplash? Have you seen
Sean
that
was
movie?
telling me about that movie.
Oh man, that movie's so brutal. He comes unhinged.
Yeah.
He's just like, didn't I tell you to play it fucking faster? You play it like this. You play it now. That's not what you did. You're out of key. And he's just like this maniacal high school band teacher.
He was in a show recently called Dark Skies where they find an alien spaceship in their basement. Do you remember that show?
Oh man,
we watched like
Never
half
watched
of the
that.
first season.
Yeah.
It was the man and the woman, and they had we would walk out to their shed and go down, and it would take them to another plane of existence.
It's starting to sound like my life with half-done seasons here.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time to actually dedicate to
No,
stuff. She's making her way through Sons of Anarchy for the first time now.
I am.
She's hooked.
I'm deep into it. Yeah.
Sorry.
You know they're doing a spinoff. Not Mayans. They're doing another
no,
spinoff.
Are they doing like the?
It's supposed to be Abel.
Oh
What?
no,
Jack's
that's-
son,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't.
Stop.
I'm not. I don't know if I don't know if I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
I'm SOA and Mayans now. I'm that life. I was around that for a little while. Okay, like in real life stuff.
Yeah.
I'm good. Like the things in like we talk. Perception is reality.
We say that a lot.
Yeah. You know, I used to say perception is not reality. It's just yours.
Yeah.
It's how you perceive things. A lot of the stuff that happened in those shows, it's a real thing. And I was always curious growing up. I'm still curious. Call me Whiskers. I'm curious like a cat, you know? And when I was in high school, they were around here, man. I'm not going to say names. It doesn't matter.
There's still a lot of them.
But there's still a lot of them around here. And I was always enamored by that. And I had a, what are they called? High school guidance counselor. Her name was Kathy Irwin. And she would, freshman year, and they follow you. So you didn't get a new one each year. They'd follow you through, and they just, cycle, which I thought was pretty cool. But she was from Kentucky, and she had the craziest Kentucky accent. And my family's from Kentucky, and we didn't even have that kind of accent. You know what I mean? And she's like, Steven, you ain't going to amount to nothing in this world, hon. And her eyes would get real big and then squint down, the whole nine. She's like, you keep running with them bad motor scooters now. You're gonna end up right there at CCSO, right next to them. You know what they do to you? You ever see that show Scared Straight? No, man, but I saw Oz. So there was a skirmish. My only fight in high school. There was a skirmish. It was bad. Let's just say that. And I got lucky. I got 5 days internal suspension. Okay. Because I was on the wrestling team and I actually showed up to school. That was my only reprieve. Mm-hmm. Okay. The other guy got 2 weeks out of school suspension. And some other things. Let's just say that. But that was like my first real brush with, oh man. But like the older kids, the older people, my entire life, even when I was a wee little lad, I lived with my grandparents. I was been adopted a few times in my life, adopted at birth. My grandparents always had older people as friends. So I guess I grew up quick, so to speak, and I was using terminology and words that a 6-year-old probably shouldn't have used. By the time I was 7, not that I got into trouble, but like people would put me in trouble. Guilt by association for sure. You'd be running with the kids in the neighborhood. I got in trouble. This one stands out the most. I got in trouble for telling, I didn't say it. Maybe I did. I don't know. I was fucking 7 or something. That if you drink canal water, you get magic powers and fly. Like, talk about imagination, right?
Right.
I doubt I ever said something like that. But I was always those kids. I was trying to be that guy and impress people and it didn't work out so good as I got older, like in high school and things like that. I became an athlete because I was dumb and not fat anymore because I was chubby in middle school.
Well, you can't skip past the whole give you magic powers and fly thing and just change the subject. Did you get somebody to drink ditch water, bro?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No. But that was the rumor going around. That was the rumor going around the neighborhood, and that was like, looking back on it, it's kind of funny.
It is funny when kids are assholes. That's funny.
Yeah, dude. Like, what the hell?
So let's fast forward past all of that. You're a veteran. You going to talk anything about that? I'm not going to pressure you to do so. You don't have to get into it. But
right out of high school, I joined the military. I had to do delayed enlistment because there was dealt with a lot of death and therapy when I was younger too. Grandparents passing. At one point somewhere, I was going to therapy. So at that time in the service, 9/11 hadn't happened yet. So they were real nitpicky about who they took in.
So did you enroll before 9/11 or after?
Before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So didn't have a clue as to what to do and this, that, and the other, and just kind of went in with an open mind and ended up doing, AFSOC and JSOC type kind of stuff, search and rescue. That's a hard life. I think you think you're invincible after your training. Everybody does. I don't give a shit.
Well, that's the point of the training.
Right. It's the best way I can describe it to a civilian is going to an action movie at the theater and then coming out all pumped up like you're going to kick someone's ass. Like you learned a new move from
You're John Wick, bro. Come on. You just saw it on TV for 2.5 hours. Why can't you do that?
Right. And you think you're invincible. You're Captain fucking America. And let me tell you something. The first shot fired in anger, for me at least, I experienced calm. It was like, shit. All right. And they would tell you before things, remember your training and you'll come out. It's stereotypical. Any stereotypical saying, military saying, you're fed that. It's all routine. It's all Everything's I use this term, you've heard me say it, dress right dress. You know, organization is key. You know, if you feel like you've worked enough overtime for the week, go to MPF and give them the overtime form just so you can get laughed at. That was my favorite thing to prank people with. I lost a lot of friends that I went to high school with, people I knew, I grew up with, people I trained with, people I respected to hell and back. Out of my crew, me and 3 others came home, and now they're gone. I'm it, you know, and that's been I'm not going to go, because this is where this is going and being uploaded. I'm not going into crazy amount of detail on that. But, you know, it's a tough life. If anyone out there, their children is considering a military occupation, do something smart. Learn to check, like, tech support or something.
Yeah.
If you want to be that gun-ho and you want to do that, you got to have the mind for it.
Didn't you get to the point where that's ended up didn't you end up switching more to the tech side? Because you have a huge tech background too.
So I got injured.
Okay.
In 2004. And I got cross-trained into war readiness. So war readiness is essentially supply in the Air Force. It's logistics. You sit there and hand out dog tags. A bag, B bag, C bag, and all that fancy stuff is, you know, chem gear or firefighter bag or anything like that. Here's your shot records. Go to the next room or whatever, and if you needed vaccinations, boom, boom, boom. It was like an assembly line. Backtracking, going back to like prior to September 11th, it's kind of fucking cool to be in the military.
Right.
You know, you get TDYs and things like that. Your TDYs were anywhere from 30, 60, 90 days at best, and then they're paying you a per diem. Combat pay, hazardous duty pay, depending on what you're doing, jump pay, you know, things like that. So a single guy can make bank, you know what I mean? September 11th happened, that changed the landscape, not just for the military. I mean, obviously the whole world, like, things are so much different. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was no more cool, cushy TDYs and training. My first thought with my career field was, you ever see that movie Air Force One with Harrison Ford? Mm-hmm. Okay. When they jettisoned the capsule out the back at Air Force One, and the guys in red berets run up all cool like Call of Duty, that's what I thought I would be doing. Like, oh man, yeah. No, not even close. If the Rangers need out and the SEALs can't get them, and if SEALs need out and, you know, vice versa and things like that, it's that the ops community is crazy. So they call us. We're the overglorified taxi, lifesavers, heartbreakers, right, and all that good stuff. But September 11th fundamentally changed everything. Like it impacted me while I was in, but I think it impacted me more when I got out, more so. The layer of trust with people diminished, gone. Being overseas is the biggest, like, especially a kid from Florida.
Right.
Someone asked me to best describe what a desert looks like, and all I can tell them is the color of kitty litter. It's vibrant at first. Like, you'll see different colors. You'll see hues of reds, browns, gray. At some point, it all goes gray. And then when you see a random palm tree or you see grass growing because you got some R&R or whatever, that is the most vibrant green you'll ever see in your life. And I can go outside and look at the grass, and I'm just like, it's green.
Right.
Or I mean, this time of year, you know. But everything's much more vibrant when you come home. Working in war readiness sucked. Sitting at a desk sucks. I don't want to sit at a desk.
Well, that's what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'll be 42 in, you know, a little bit here. Like, I'm cool.
We're not that old.
At least I do act my shoe size some days, so I'm all right with that. But yeah, when it came to the service, it was something I took to, but it took that first shot, and then it was, I'm Steve fucking Rogers, pal.
Yeah,
yeah, it was, and I did my best.
Yeah,
but when you get knocked down like that, you don't want to stick around. So I got out under force reduction. I went into the commander's office, and I was like, "Get me the." I'm going to say it. I don't think you'll get demonetized.
no, you're good.
Okay. Get me the fuck out of the Air Force. And he's like, who the fuck are you, are you talking to me like that? And I was like, you're the only one that has the power to get me the fuck out. You go in there, and at that point, like my professionalism, my spirit, my everything was so low. I was also going through a divorce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If the military wanted you to have a wife, they would issue you one.
Yep.
True story. True.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
The military wants you to have a wife, they'll issue you one.
Yeah.
It's gotten really bad for men who are married and enlisted. It's getting harder to support your family on a military budget, like with the money that you make, even if you live on base.
Yep. So what they're making now in pay grade, what I made is almost, I say 2/3 higher.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like double or anything like that, but it's gotten better. It's still tough though.
Right. Well, with inflation and the way everything is costing now, that 2/3 doesn't add up.
Right. So when I was married, we lived off base. We started on base, and then we were like,
yeah,
you think living in an HOA and deed restricted is bad? Live on the base. I took 89 days of leave, and so I didn't get smacked with taxes. I sold 1 day back to the government. And on my last day, I'm not proud of this, by the way. Don't do this, anyone watching, or if you're in the military now, you're getting ready to separate. Do not do what I did, please. I grew out my beard. I went out drinking every night. I partied my ass off. I was like, fuck it. I don't care. My life's miserable. It sucks. I couldn't get laid in a morgue. Like, that's how bad I felt for myself. I was Flintstone, Shup Rock, Wozy Wozy Woo, or whatever.
Yeah.
That was me. And I would be like double fisting pitchers, doing shots. Like, it didn't matter, man. You want to say numb the pain and all that other shit. I was just trying to have a good time because my life was fucking miserable.
Just escaping.
I was living with a friend. She took mercy on me. She's a great gal. We lost contact years ago. I'm sure she's still around out there, but she saved my life. Okay. I got out, bummed around a little bit, homeless there for a little while too. That fucking sleeping under a bridge sucks. Eating out of a garbage,
Oh, I do.
brother man, shit sucks. And then my family got me a bus ticket to come home. Right? I didn't have any money. I had nothing. And they're like, be at the Greyhound bus station. And it was a 55-hour drive home. On that bus station, I had a Ziploc baggie of trail mix that a friend had given me. Maybe.
What state were you in when you got
South Dakota?
Okay.
At that time.
Okay.
Maybe half a bag of chips and my bottle for my water, and I 55 hours straight awake because we were going through Kansas City and Memphis. Those bus terminals, rough.
Yeah.
Rough areas. And
yeah, especially in Memphis.
And you held onto your own bag and stuff. It wasn't like you're checking your bag. I didn't have but 4 pairs of underwear, 2 pairs of shorts, 3 shirts, one of my military coins, couple other little odds and ends and trinkets.
Yeah.
But that's all I had to my name.
So I have questions, and I'm going to forget if I don't interrupt you,
Yeah,
so I'm
go
going to
ahead.
interrupt you.
Interrupt.
You have told me over and over and over again that one of your favorite places in the United States is the Badlands of South Dakota.
Absolutely.
Do you think that comes from the time that you spent there? Because I have a love-hatred for St. Petersburg.
Sure.
Because you know how many times I've slept in front of or behind the State Theater
Yep.
before they like did that bougie area down there?
Yeah, man.
So like there's a love-hate for me there.
Sure.
St. Petersburg will always be home, but every time we drive through, I'm like, I fucking hate it here. Like just being in this town makes me not comfortable. But you love South Dakota. You love the Badlands.
There was more to it though.
Okay.
For me.
So why is that such a big thing? Because you did experience homelessness there, and like
Rapid Valley is where I experienced my homelessness.
Okay.
Which is outside of Rapid City. Okay. Rapid City it's sparse. Think of how I-75 is set up, and I'll go from the exit at Kings Highway, probably up to Jacaranda.
Okay.
Right. You know how sparse that feels?
yeah.
Okay. That's how I-90 is up in that area of South Dakota. Once you get past a certain point, then it's just all fucking nothingness. There are towns in South Dakota that have 7 people in them.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the difference between a mile and a country mile.
that's right.
Yeah.
For me, I think what it was is Mount Rushmore, Keystone, Deadwood, those places that I got to visit, and I wasn't homeless in those places.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's huge. Like people don't realize the population when I was there was under 1 million people
In the entire state?
in the entire state.
So that's half the population of St. Petersburg.
Yeah. Right.
In the entire state.
Right.
That's insane.
Right. So after the military, I haven't been able to go to a beach. Like I can't stand sand. Like, and it sounds stupid because I play golf and there's sand in the bunkers, but it's different. It's almost traumatizing.
I lived on Clearwater Beach for a little while, like homelessness on Clearwater Beach.
And I'm surprised we haven't even ran into each other there because during my summers when I'd go stay with my aunt, I'd get bored and you go to Clearwater Beach because it was open all night.
Yeah.
And they had the lit up volleyball courts. I used to go play volleyball all the time.
Yeah.
Wild.
It was weird being able to go back to Clearwater Beach shortly after all of that because it was like maybe a year or two later. I actually lived in Clearwater off of Betty Lane and Sunset Point.
Yeah.
And it was very different because going to the beach and like tripping.
Yep.
Because we did a lot of that out by Pier 60 in the middle of the night because it was super cool to watch the wind blow the sand across the top of the shore, right? But, yeah. Yeah, again, it's wild that we never crossed paths like that because we all the same places. You remember when St. Pete Police Department or Clearwater Police Department got the riot bus out in Clearwater Beach by Pier 60?
Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah. That was funny because we saw that on Fox 36, I think was the channel or some shit. We saw it the next day, and my aunt was like, "You're never going to the beach again."
Yeah.
Yeah.
90s were wild, man. We would you were if you were from St. Pete, you went to Tampa or you went to Clearwater to fight those kids.
Yeah.
And if you lived in Clearwater, you went to St. Pete or Tampa, or you stayed home and defended. It was like a weird it was like a really bad B movie.
Yeah.
It really was with the way that kids acted. You could go to a club in Ybor City and be like, "Fuck Tampa."
Yep.
And everybody in Tampa would stand up and you would know who the cliques were and it was like that. It was like a really bad movie.
I was like a transplant every summer. So, if we went to the Roller Palace or whatever, and they did the lock-ins. Yeah. Those were so wild. Yeah. Cuz like here, most parents were like, here's a couple bucks so you can get some pizza and da 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 da. And you think I'm skating for 9 hours? No, I am not. I'm a teenager. I'm gonna do things. Yeah, and experiment. Luckily for me, it wasn't that bad or dramatic. I think the most experimentation I did was smoking a cigarette. Yeah. And a Bartleson James.
I did a lot of LSD at Southland.
Oh, Jesus, Southland. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so let's move on because I have questions about the technology things.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got some technology training while you were in the military, and from what I understand, but you actually owned a computer repair business for a short amount of time here in the area.
I did.
What was the transition for you from being a soldier to being homeless to owning a business? Because that's not just like a...
That was it was very long.
And did the music thing happen in between that, or did it happen during that?
It happened during the computer shop, but I saved up money. Yeah, and I had some really cool people in my corner. Like Keith Grenning came into my corner, came into my life. James Garnes, God rest his soul, he taught me to have a little bit of self-worth, and those guys believed in me.
Okay.
You know, so then we got, I ended up getting Megabytes computer from another Charlotte County homeboy. I had that for 9-10 months, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Like,
why?
There's only so many times you can see the same person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Todd, stop looking at that particular website, Todd.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The gross things that my eyes had to see, it wasn't worth the money. My gimmick was, if I can't fix it, I'll buy it. Well, that's the beauty of it. Throw enough money at it, I can fix anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then Best Buy opened too. So like right as I'm getting ready to get rid of this thing, Best Buy opens up. And it's like the big hoopla, Geek Squad, and this, that. Oh, man.
So you were still open and competing with Circuit City, though?
Yeah.
Because we had Circuit City before Best Buy.
Yep. And Circuit City, that wasn't much competition because most of their crew left and they opened computer stores in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was really bad timing for them too then, huh?
Yeah, my buddy Lenny left Circuit City to open Fast Tech Computers. And I was down the road. There was always a mutual respect there. And they're still in business, man. They're still killing it. I was doing the music thing here and there, like production stuff, like behind the scenes stuff. And I don't remember exactly when or how the meeting went down, and then all of a sudden it was, how would you like to work for so and such, and like these different bands, like be associated, like who wouldn't want to be associated doing some personal security for Godsmack?
Right.
Name one person that like, I'll die for you, because there's people like that.
Right. Hear that rain?
Is that rain? I thought
When
that
you
was
do
AC.
live production, light shows, and front of house sound, like it's crazy, you know. And I was doing all of this while I was working and getting my degree.
You've led a very interesting life, Steve.
Thus far.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny. I never thought podcasts would be added to that.
Yet here we are.
Yeah, it's wild, you know. And did the music thing, man. It was. Worked with bands like Team Cybergeist, Sunshine and Bullets, you know, had members of Dope, Janitortures, Kitty, like my name's there. You know, that's like cool. But I think the last thing I did in music was at Bridgestone Arena. It was the George Jones tribute concert. You know, that was super cool. I got to meet, they say never meet your heroes. Meet your heroes. Do it, because it'll give you, it'll be that litmus that you need and the direction you need to go. After that, I bummed around, did more jobs, because all that money from the computer sale and the other stuff I was doing, I pissed away. I drank. You know,
well, you were young though, and so this is kind of where I wanted this to go. Yeah. We know, and you know, that when you have money in your 20s and 30s and even into your early 40s, you're going to spend that money a lot different than when you have a family, and when you're starting to like plan for your retirement fund, and like, because you're making moves now to set yourself up differently than you would have done 10 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
So what, we know that you spent that money. I spent a lot of money in my 20s and 30s too, so I'm not judging you for that. But what, the transition from military to music to tech and to all of the other things that you've done, I am still curious as to where the skills came from, because doing computer work and doing audio shit and light shows is not the same thing. So is this like a YouTube University thing where you're like, fuck it, I can figure this out and just do it? Or
I can, so a lot of it came from when I was younger. My grandparents would give us a computer. It was an old hand-me-down. Like, I think my first computer was a IBM 286,
right?
And I was just able to take shit apart and put it back together and learn that way. I always learn by doing, but there's no, like, just because you learn by doing, there's no legitimacy there, right? Like, I can hang a sign on the wall and say YouTube repairman, and YouTube's great for that. I've learned a lot on YouTube, things that I didn't know, not for computers or anything so much. There are things, like there's software that I wouldn't, like the OBS thing. I haven't played too much with OBS.
All right.
You know, most of my stuff with coding, like Xcode, learning Xcode, knowing HTML, XML, how to utilize XML, how to actually develop, like that stuff was in school. I learned Java and Python in the early days. You know, Java, when they say Java runs almost everything on earth, it does. Refrigerators, stoves.
Yeah.
You know.
So back to now that I got that question out of the way, let's go back to the finances thing. If
Sure.
you were Steve now, mentality Steve now,
Yeah.
when you sold the computer business and got that money out, what would you have done with that money that you didn't do last time? I don't know what the money was, but let's say it was $200,000. I don't know what it is, and I don't care.
I wish that had been cool.
But if it was $200,000, what would you have done with that money then? If you would have had the knowledge you had now,
I would have rolled it. I would have vested that money. You know, I would have, as much as I can put away into things, like I would have started a Roth IRA 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I would have put it in as many CDs as I could, legally allowed. I would try. I mean, in 2010, I was the guy online in Reddit and 4chan saying you're an idiot for buying Bitcoin.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin when it was like $3 a coin.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy was like, bro, just invest $1,000.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, I'm not giving $1,000 to something that's not tangible. This is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Well, he ended up dying. He had a drug overdose, and it was because his doctor prescribed him 2 drugs that didn't mix in his body, and he ended up overdosing from it. His girlfriend at the time was a live-in girlfriend, and the instructions were, if I ever die, throw this laptop in the oven and cook it.
Yeah.
Because he was doing a lot of illegal activities on that laptop.
Sure.
But he was also writing programs and ransomware, and like he was legit. And knowing what I know now about technology, if somebody like that came to me and was like, you should invest in this new thing that's coming out, I'd fucking listen to them.
Yep.
Because when he told me about Bitcoin, if I would have known that in my 2010, 2011, I'd have been fucking rich.
All right, you ready for you ready for this doozy? When I was in the service during tech school, they had a down day, just no training that day. So they had a financial advisor guy come out, but they gave you free lunch. And I was like, hey, I'll
Free
go
food.
to yeah. It beats Chow Hall food, right? And it was Subway, so I was about it. And he goes on. He talks about contribute to an your IRA, and there's ways you can invest your money. For instance, there's this new company called Google.
Oh man.
Hold on. The IPO on it was $6. $6 at that time for military members. And people got sign-on bonuses coming into the military and things like that. I'm with a bunch of people in this class. I would say 99% of us that was there for the Subway. But he's like Google and tech and AMD and I knew the names of AMD, Intel, IBM, things like that. What the hell's a Google? Seriously. Like that's the dumbest, like back in 2002, that's the dumbest name ever. 2001, 2002, whenever it was. You're like, I want to get a DeLorean.
Yeah.
Go back in time, and I want to kick myself in the nuts as hard as I can and be like, invest in Google.
Yeah, it'd be like the hot tub time machine. Where YouTube or Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
Yahoo. And Lugal.
I'm sitting here thinking about times in poker where I'm like, I shouldn't have folded that hand.
Yeah.
No, and
I bet that's that on a grander scale.
It's worse than that.
I believe it.
He got into the tech industry after he got out of the military.
Yeah.
So
it's bad. So like even with NVIDIA, that was another one that was like, this graphics card suck, dude. GT 230, get out of here. AGP graphics.
Yeah. And now NVIDIA is in most vehicles.
Yeah. Seriously, I want to someone build me a DeLorean. But yeah, you can spend your life on coulda, woulda, shouldas and all that. Your shortfalls, your unbecomings and all that. I have a kick-ass life.
You have a very interesting magic career. You're one of the few people I've ever met that actually has all of the Power 9.
Yep.
So how did that come about?
So never got rid of my cards.
Okay.
When I was a kid, so it came out in 93. Found out about the game mid 94. There was a comic book shop here in town, and it was writing distance on my bike. And next door, ironically enough, was the tattoo studio, is Adventurous Art showing us.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going in one day to get comics, and he's like, "Hey kid, you want to try this new card game?" And I'm like, "No thanks, I don't play solitaire."
Doesn't tell me that doesn't sound like he's selling drugs. Hey kid, want to try this first thing for free?
He didn't really know my name because I didn't have there wasn't a pull list.
Yeah.
You just went in and you grabbed your shit and you left. And they're like, you had popping comics. You know how many titles are out now?
Yeah.
Back then it was Superman, Justice League, X-Men,
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
X-Men.
So whatever. And then a friend of mine was on the bus, and he had a starter deck. I want to say it was revised, right? And he's like, "Oh, look at the art," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. That's neat. How does it work?" He taught me how to play, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah. The comic book shop has them." So I go, and he's like, "Hey, man, yeah, da-da-da-da," and he's trying to sell me everything under the sun. And I was like, I've got $11.95.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that was it. Game over. Like, all my if I got chore money, if I got money for good grades, Christmas, birthdays, anything went to Magic. Now, in the early days, in 95, 96, you could buy a Black Lotus for $25, $30.
Right.
Because it was already banned and things like that. Same with the Moxes,
Right.
Time Walk, Ancestral Recall, things like that. There wasn't a huge market for secondary, so I buy them, I trade for them,
Yeah.
and then put them away because it's one of those things you never know. I still have basketball cards from when I was a kid.
Oh, man.
I hoard shit like that, anything collectible. Fast forward to now, it's kind of hard to sell a lump sum collection like that and get the money and the value. But I have a display in my house. It's Power 9 and then the top 5, and they're all original printings. I wouldn't say it's my prized possession. My son is my prized possession, but the thing I'm most proud of. Possession's kind of a strong word, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's definitely not the right terminology there, but
Yeah.
I got what you meant. The intent was there. That's all that matters.
There you go. Picking up what I'm putting down.
So you've got to meet Magic artists. You played the conventions things for a while. Like, you actually were serious about the game.
Yeah, I played Grand Prix. I tried to qualify for the Pro Tour. I was huge into that. But starting a life with your loved one, you have to devote time. And I didn't do it in the most healthy way possible either, man. I was like with my wife, and she was with me during this time too. It's almost like she showed up one day and never left. And I dig that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry, that was so good. So good. But yeah, I would travel to Grand Prix and stuff.
Yeah.
And, meeting the artists at these events, get autographs or whatever, buy prints. I was always enamored by the art. I don't know at what point I stopped buying the art, though. I think it's when it went Photoshop, to be honest with you. I wanted to be a World Magic the Gathering champion. I enjoyed it, but I was not giving the attention to then my girlfriend.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's either me or Magic. Well, look, I like to get laid, okay? Just because I'm a nerd and I've done some pretty cool shit in my life, I still like to get laid. So I chose her. I kept all the expensive cards. You saw that was just a fraction of the collection at that time when I gave it to y'all for popping. But ton of regrets there too.
Yeah.
Like, should have bought more, buy more dual lands, buy more this, buy more that.
So where are we at now? Because we've covered a lot of your history.
Yeah.
You came around because we opened a comic book store that did Magic, and that's how you and I met.
Right.
We hit it off fairly well right away. You ended up coming in and helping the store out quite a bit. You gave us a lot of product, just trying to make sure that we stayed open.
Yep.
A lot of mistakes were made in that business because I had no business being in it.
Right.
I did have it turning a profit When I was in charge of the store, it turned a profit. And the first year we were in business, I spent a lot of money.
Yeah, I know.
By the time it was all said and done, I was like $160,000 in debt to that store because I kept dumping money into it well after I got rid of it.
Sure.
But there was a lot of cool shit, and I met a lot of cool people during that community in that time frame. Like our friend Mike that plays poker with us is one of my really close friends now. I met him through the store. And I got to go into business with Tim, which was kind of cool. I got to experience new things. It was worth it. I don't regret it. I regret the way that I handled certain things, but I don't regret the business as a whole. And hindsight 2020, if I would have just held on a little bit longer, I think it would have done a lot better because I could have given it to Tony. And I think that Tony, from when he was at GameStop, would have done really well with that store. But
it's funny. You can't expect what you don't inspect.
Yeah.
And when you had your hands on everything, and this actually goes into the tattoo industry and being under your tutelage and things like that. I have always felt peace around. I throw the word peace out there, but I don't have a better word than that or calm. You know what I mean? But more importantly, in authority, it's order.
Yeah.
I always felt there was order when you were peace and order. It is the best I can describe it. And those are some of the best. I had some of the best times of my life in that store too.
Yeah.
I fell asleep there one night. I had to work the next day. Like I was so drained. I think it was a pre-release or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and I fell asleep on those big old love sacks. It was the first time I ever fell asleep in a love sack. Man, those things are great.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe if you kept it a little longer, maybe if you would have waited out the storm. But if and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, man.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't regret it. I got a lot out of it, a lot of learning and growth out of it. Yeah. But we moved you from that. You got into the body piercing thing, got into the tattooing thing. I was so gung-ho on you writing a program that would allow you to scan skin. Man, that's really hard to fucking say.
Yep.
Scan skin to get a color code out for stretch marks so that we could tattoo stretch marks and actual skin pigments. And when we really started looking into that, that became very daunting. So we kind of...
Yep. I got as far as programming the scanner had to see.
Yeah.
But not how it could spit out because there was so many inconsistency in code.
Yeah.
And the amount of information that would have to be plugged into that thing, it would take forever.
Do you think that with AI... that if we were to do this again in, say, 2 years, that we would be able to create that
on
program?
that level of AI, 2 years of development with the rule of 72 and exponential growth? I think that could be a thing.
There's a lot of money on the table if whoever develops that. If that ever becomes a thing, because women are very self-conscious about their stretch marks. Men are too. We just don't admit it.
Yeah, I won't openly.
There's a lot of money in that. Why are you broadcasting it on a podcast?
Because it's a lot of work and most people aren't going to do it. Are you kidding me? Most people don't want to go to work on a normal job, let alone sit down and write code for hours and hours and hours, and it's just not going to happen.
It really isn't, because when you look at a color wheel, most people think of, oh, it's a wheel and there's colors. There's way more to it than that. And just to teach something hue and tint alone off the that in and of itself is hard enough. But if somebody out there wants to try it, know that this is going to be published, and I had the idea first.
Yeah. I gotta be honest.
It's what we call poor man's copyright.
Yeah. I don't care if somebody else develops it and they make the money on it and we don't. I would just like to see that be a thing. I think that would be one of those things that would genuinely help people's self-esteem.
I do too. And what's funny is I've gotten, I'm not going to say older around you no more. Wisen up. Let's just say wisen up as I wisen up. Self-esteem's big. I have a low self-esteem. I do. Like on the daily, I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, is that another gray? Fuck, I'm old. Fuck, I shouldn't be doing this. Every day. Like I'm not worthy. That's another one that I hate about myself. I used to walk into the studio and be amongst all those artists, man. And I'm like, I'm not worthy to be here.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I worked hard, earned it, and everything else. There's still that part of me, though. It'll creep up every once in a while.
Yeah.
And be like, you're not worthy. So what are you going to do to change it? That that little voice, what are you going to do to change it, wasn't always there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's development and growth. The most rewarding thing I've done in my life has been working for Sacred Rights Tattoo. That is my, over the military, over any career job, anything in my life. That is where my heart's at. That is where I have the most love and respect.
Well, even with the podcast, you are still technically employed by Sacred Rights Inc. because it owns To Be Better.
Yeah.
So, but why is that?
Why is what?
Why is that your most like?
Because you. So I was in the vapor industry for a little while, if you remember, and I still have an NDA, so I can't go completely nuts here. But I wasn't treated very good. She called me in person would call me in the middle of the night that ran the company. I need you to do this now. It's 12 o'clock at night. I don't care. I want it done. Or I'm going to build a house for you. I'm going to get you a fancy car. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this for you. You just work for me. Just trust me.
Yeah.
And I did. And I lost 6 years of my life that I'm never going to get back from her. Kimmy was there the whole time. You want to talk about torment? I wasn't gray until after that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there was teachings in that. There was, it was cruel tutelage about business and the shrewdness of it and things like that. At one point I had my own store. It didn't last long. She yanked me out over, and I'll tell you, I don't say I got fired. I resigned because she was like, I'm going to fire you. I resigned. It was over a password to the website. She didn't trust anybody. Okay. Compartmentalization. Well, have my come down and log you in. And I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It is. You need it done now. Why are they going to drive 30 minutes? That's the way it's done.
Yeah.
You know, and then that night, but though, after that whole thing, the night I left that place for the last time, freedom.
And how long before that was it when I met you?
It was probably about a year and a half.
Okay. So then so it was a year and a half after that I met you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then, you know, even with that, I knew I had only heard of you.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. People in this town tend to talk out their mouths and out of turn.
Yeah.
And I'm always one of those people. You could talk all that crap you want about somebody until I meet you and let me make my decision.
Yeah.
And you have been nothing but awesome.
Well, the thing with that is people will, and this is a Facebook meme, but people will always talk bad about somebody, but never talk about the good.
Right.
And like people who have a whole lot of negative to say about somebody, there's a reason that there's a negative there.
Oh, absolutely. And
some people are just assholes.
And at one point in my life, I was that negative guy.
Right.
Like, because I had been done dirty so many times by so many different people, because I allowed it. I didn't know the warning signs. I wouldn't say instinctually.
Right.
Not at all. You just don't know. I worked next to a guy in the service who adopted 2 kids from England. And then, you know, man of the cloth, the whole 9, church every Sunday. Didn't know he was locking his kids in their rooms.
Oh, wow.
When I say lock, I mean lock. Like, you ain't getting food. Any time someone gives me something out of the kindness of their heart, I keep it. So, like, one year, you had your Harley, and I think you had some Harley bucks or something saved up, like store credit. You bought me a Zippo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still use it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it don't leave the house.
That's funny.
Because I don't want to lose it. Anything else you've given me, like, it could be, you may think it's insignificant. That kind of stuff means the world to me.
She's like that.
Yeah. Because I didn't have it like that coming up. I had to scrounge. Can I wash it? I asked a lady in the neighborhood once if I could wash her windows for some extra money.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. I'm not afraid to work for anything. I don't expect anything to be given to me ever in life, and nobody should. My father used to say, "Go get a steno pad." When's the last time you heard that word, steno pad?
Isn't a stenograph what they use in the courtrooms?
Yep. Well, they used to sell the short form. It was called a steno pad, stenographer's pad.
Right.
He'd say, "Son, go get that steno pad." You open the steno pad and he says, "See that blank page?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's what the world owes you."
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't, he didn't talk to me much growing up. Maybe 10 words a day. Mom was doing her thing. My sisters and I, for the most part, fended for ourselves some nights. It's crazy. It's crazy when you look back at that, but the character building.
Yeah.
My sisters have become wonderful women, moms, wives. They're phenomenal, doing great. I feel like in my life, I've been given the world like opportunities, and yeah, there's some I have squandered by drink, by doing dumb shit. I don't feel like it today,
Right.
and I think it irritates me so much. I see it now. It's almost commonplace. Y'all don't have to do this for me.
Well, that was going to lead to my next question, and just because we're coming up on a little over an hour.
Okay.
With the tattoo shop, because we've known each other now going on 7 years. I think is what we determined the other day. Is it's almost 7 years, a little over 7 years.
Yeah.
And in that 7 years, you've worked for me. You worked for me at the comic book store. You've worked with me at the tattoo shop, and you gave up a tattoo career that you've wanted your entire life to be a part of the To Be Better podcast.
Yep. It's not. It ain't money, dude. It's you.
Right, but so this is growing, and we get, and I might be speaking out of turn. I'm gonna speak for both of us, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me. But we get something more from this podcast than finances. We do make money. I'm not denying that this is a business for us, but we get an emotional satisfaction when we get divorce papers in the mail, or we get wedding invitations. Like there is a emotional.
There's a spiritual fulfillment for me.
That.
I'm so glad you said it that way.
So now you're at well, she's found her faith through all of this.
Yeah.
And I've reclaimed mine through all of this. And because we've both found our faith, our marriage has changed. Like, we are in a very different place than we were a few years ago. But you've given up something that was very healthy and something that you've always wanted to be here now doing this. And some would say that you've actually stepped back because you are technically working less hours and still making good money, but like you're not doing the 50-hour work week anymore, but you have stepped away from something that you love to do this. So what are you hoping to get from being a part of the podcast? Because obviously it's not finances.
No, it's not. Because I've always maintained, and I got to get this out there, all right, that if I can't tattoo it at Sacred Rights, I don't want to be. I'm not freelance, and screw that. I'll walk away. Okay, I'm fairly certain I can go get a job somewhere else. However, I think what it is the we talk about being in service to people, right? When I was growing up, youth group, I had a guy named Al Christian was my youth pastor, all right, and he was handing out job titles one day. And it was like, hey, you do this for production, or you do this. Da, 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 da. He looked at me and he goes, I don't know about you. I don't know if I have a place for you.
Wow.
And that hurt.
Wow.
Hold on. That hurt because he said it in front of other people.
Yeah.
Later on, after the meeting, he came up to me privately and asked me if he knew what an armor bearer was. I didn't know what an armor bearer was. Are you kidding me? And he explained that an armor bearer prepares the knight for battle and things like that. He taught me, at the time in my life when I bucked authority, he taught me how to be submissive, but in a healthy way.
Okay.
You don't have to cower, but he gave me a purpose to be in service to him. So I was spiritual and had faith when I was a kid. I definitely lost it along the way, but he taught me how to be in service, And that should be the most fulfilling thing. And ever since to serve, whether it be in the military or helping a neighbor, that to learn how to love. Because let's face it, the world ain't sunshine and rainbows or whatever 5-cent term Rocky used. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's an ugly, cruel world. It'll beat you up. And I try to be optimistic. I try to wake up happy and not see that every day. The only times in my life I've been happy is when I'm in service to someone.
That's man's purpose, though. Going back to Genesis, that is our purpose, is to serve.
Right.
So we are to lead and we are to protect and provide, but our duty as men, going back to Adam, is to serve. And
when you ask me to come here and help y'all out and work with you, I'm almost done with Warrior Poet.
Yeah,
and he talks
about
such
a good book.
God,
I got another one for you.
Let's get him on the podcast.
I wish.
Right?
I wish. I'm almost positive that AJ has tried to email him. I have tried to email him through his YouTube channel, and I've not heard back. So.
Well, then I'm gonna dig. And I'll email him.
Yeah.
But no, such a good book. But he talks about being in service. He talks. My favorite chapter, as of right now, most recent, is Learn to Dance.
Yep.
Y'all,
we listened to that when
I
we were
remember
leaving
that
Valley of
chapter.
Fire.
Y'all,
I love you, woman.
Let me stop it. Mine's not here for me. I actually dance in the kitchen with my wife.
I do it too. So do we.
Oh my God, dude.
All the time.
Dumb stuff. It'll be something like a TV commercial in the background or whatever, and I'll get, she'll get behind me or I'll get behind her. Because of y'all's podcast, it's almost a year, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is
crazy. December 17th will be 1 year since we created the channel. So
wild. And the evolution and the growth, not just, I'm so bad with words, guys. I'm sorry. I wasn't blessed in that department to pick up words. I've got some big words I know how to use, but when I look around, I remember seeing the TikToks on the couch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm going to support you because you've supported me. Reciprocation in kind, they call it. But you're my mentor just because, when I was done with my tattoo apprenticeship, I don't feel that you didn't stop being my mentor.
Right.
At all. And you never will. And I've always had that. It's the right word. That was sounding dumb. I'm really bad at this because I'm about to get emotional. I hate you for it. No, I'm just kidding. Apprenticeship.
Yeah.
You never stop. You don't. You just keep going.
Right.
Right. It's such a interesting word, especially in the tattoo industry, that comes with I wouldn't say negative connotation.
I would. I would, because of the way that people were treated for the last 50 years as apprentices.
Well, I mean, you've been in it way longer than I have. Right. So, I'm sure in another couple years, I'm going to see it, and I'm going to be like, ugh.
You didn't get to experience that, though.
Right. Sweeping pavement off the sunshine. No, you were good to me. You changed. You found a better way.
Yeah.
Right? Sean, helping me. We've all helped each other, regardless. I've always gone I try to go out of my way to help people, right? And at some point you end up hurting yourself, right?
That's because givers can only give so much and takers can always take.
Right. I found that if I'm in service to people, I'm happier. I am happy-go-lucky. And I tried to warp that for me in the tattoo industry. Yeah. Look, I'm not dogging the industry. I'm not dogging anyone. It's just, I'm talking as a whole, the whole picture, whether it be co-artist, client, you're never going to make everybody happy.
Nope.
100% of the time. It's not going to happen. I'm not Thomas the Trainer. You can do it, or you know what I mean? And I try to do that and be an asset, even though it burned me so much in the past. this is a huge honor for me.
Yeah.
I don't take this lightly.
Well, this is going to give you an opportunity to serve a lot more people because we're doing a lot. This is the evolution of the podcast and what we've got going in the community, the tribe that we've built around all of this. And it grows. And like people will get what they felt like they needed to get from it and they'll bounce out and we won't see them anymore. And new people will fill that spot.
Right.
And we're still growing. Like we're at 133,000 now on YouTube. That number slowed way down. We plateaued, but it's still going up a couple hundred a day. It was going up 1,000 a day before.
Right.
And maybe something will change and we'll go back to doing 1,000 a day. But right now that's just not the case. I'm not worried about that because we are going to have that fall off and we are going to have those new people. And when people need to have needs met or they need to gain something from it and God goes, here you go, they're going to hear the message that's coming. And I'm not worried about it. So
also in the in-service thing, I also want to add like reclaiming my faith. And I grew up in the church. So everything you're telling me just now with the, you know, the number count and things like that, you said you plateaued. I don't look at it as a plateau. I look at it as seed time and harvest. I do, because seeds have been planted. Seeds take time.
right.
Okay. Something poignant will happen, you know, a breakthrough, a miracle, if you will. I mean, miracle is overused, man. Sorry, y'all. Again, bad at words.
Yeah.
Some will happen and that'll change. You're gonna change a specific you're gonna change a specific life.
Yeah.
That you least expect, that you least know. It may not even be on it may not be a Patreon. It may not be anything. And watch what happens.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's where we're at, and that's like you said, like we're in an evolution. We're in a season of evolution right now. Yeah. We had this huge discussion the other day about like the whole birth of the podcast because it's out of our house now. It's been birthed into the world. It's in a studio.
Yep.
And like we had a whole lot. I can't wait until you do your fucking segment tonight. I'm so excited for that. But she's evolving with her woman segment, and like because she's evolving, it's making me want to step up. Yeah. We've got the coffee thing going now. We've got a men's group going. The guy that I sent you that Zoom call to this morning is going to be on the podcast, which I am so fucking stoked about.
I didn't get to listen to a whole lot of it. The bits and pieces about healing and things like that I got to hear. I'm stoked to meet him.
Dude is smart.
I am stoked to meet this guy.
Yeah. He challenges my thoughts every time I text him and I say something. I'm like, yeah, that was really well worded. And he hits me with something, and I'm like, "You dick!" Like, I don't ever say that to him, but it's how I feel in my head because I'm like, "Damn, you just gotta one up me like that." Like I thought I was a good one, you know.
Yeah.
But we have back and forth like that, and it's I actually do the same thing to him that he does to me, but it's creating thought provoking conversation between the two of us. So I can't wait to have him on the podcast. But
no, they say iron sharpens iron.
He actually said that to me this morning. What? He said that to me right before I sent you the link to the Zoom call. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
So
because that's been a staple in my teachings when I was younger. Like, just because I walked away doesn't mean I forgot.
Yeah.
You know, my mother would always tell me, you know, your past bears no future.
Nope.
You know, and seed time and harvest. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on about this stuff. I never forgot it. How to implement it was a foreign to me.
It's because it's hard to let go of things.
Yeah.
You know, because of your life and the life that you've lived, it's very hard to just give up control.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that was for us with the podcast. I didn't want anything to do with this. Like, if this is what you want me to do, then make it happen. And it fucking happened. I'm like, all right, this is what you want. I got you. Like, but.
So talking to the wife about this and everything else. And did he
I did not.
Okay. So this is good. I don't know. You and I have had.
You can fill her in. I got to pee.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You and I have had conversations, metaphysical, you know, things happening for a reason, or you thought of a song and then it came on the radio, right?
Right.
Super cool stuff when it happens. Like, oh my God, like almost like deja vu, right? I'm sitting up in my office, doing. I think I was setting up the calendar. I don't remember what in particular, and I kind of had this weird foreboding thought, like, oh no, what if? And I just questioned a few things, and I smelt my dad's cologne.
Stop.
I swear to God, God is my witness. I smelt his cologne. Now the cologne he wears is no longer in production.
Wow.
It's very hard to find. If you find one, it's an old bottle. It's called Bowling Green. Unmistakable. Now, you know as well as I do, perfumes, colognes don't smell the same person to person.
Right.
But my dad had a routine, had a way about him, and I as soon as peace came over me, oh man. And I was like, I'm in the right place. This is where I need to be now.
Talk about reassurance.
They say affirmation comes in threes.
Yeah.
When you're not seeking it, and that was when I brought the idea up to my wife. She's like, a podcast, huh? She is my cynicism in life.
Yeah.
Because she looks at it, she gives me a different perspective on how to look at something. She goes, babe, you spent all that time in the tattoo studio learning how to pierce, be a tattoo artist. You busted your ass, long days, long nights. You know, she gave me the right act.
Right.
Right? And she goes, will it make you happy? And I said, babe, I'm a I'm a soldier with no war. And that's how I felt. Like, I felt like when it comes to service, I didn't know what to do or where to go. And this was offered to me. So now it's that I want to do the thing. I want to experience things with y'all.
Yeah.
You know, and for y'all too. So like when Chris gets excited about a new piece of equipment or tech, like I'm excited for him. Anytime he's ever told me anything, like, hey man, check this out. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I find more joy in that than a lot of the stuff I do. I mean, but yeah, the whole thing up in my office, like having that affirmation, like you need to be here.
Right.
Like there's lessons to be learned, and there's people that need help. I may sound like a stammering idiot, like Tommy Boy or something, but it's iron sharpens iron at the end of the day.
Being involved in the podcast, though, is going to give you the opportunity to do those things, even if you're not doing it directly.
Right.
You know, if like we're able to get the thing that we were talking about today with the program and the super chats,
Yep.
something like that, that alone could build somebody's self-esteem. Somebody seeing their name on a screen on a video
absolutely.
goes a long way. Like,
Yep.
so there's a lot of small things, and you making our lives easier will allow us to focus on growth.
And that's the other thing. I want to do those things.
Yeah.
You know, that's a you know, being the type of person I am, you know, I used to say it. I'm trying to redeem myself. I'm paying penance for all my past sins. It was the easiest way for me to swallow and digest everything. I genuinely enjoy this though.
Yeah.
Like, and it's because it's you guys. Let's not get it twisted. If anyone else asks me, hey, you want to be on my podcast? I have XYZ,
Right.
thousands of subscribers and this, that, and the other. I don't know you. I don't know your intention. I don't know your hearts. I've witnessed amazing things. Can I brag about you a little bit?
I mean, it's going to make me uncomfortable, but sure. I mean, I'm curious as to what you were going to say.
I've witnessed. Okay. I watched you buy a car for someone.
Yeah.
That was like the dopest thing ever. It was on your heart, man.
Yeah.
There was no, you weren't looking for anything in return. I've watched you hand bonuses out. I have watched you do things for people genuinely.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I know you were never looking for anything in return. And that's like, I'll put you on a pedestal. I will. It sounds weird. I know you're uncomfortable right now, but that's that shining example that I want to be like that one day.
Yeah.
I want to have that ability, and that kind of stuff means the world to me.
Yeah. I don't like seeing people suffer, dude. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. I've been there.
Yep.
I've been in that position where, like, there was a time in my life where I was like, if somebody would just give me a leg up.
Yep.
Like, God, just a leg up. Just give me a little bit and I'll fucking take it and run with it. And, like, it never came. Like, I had to suffer a lot to get to where I am. But I had to suffer because I could take it. And I became the man that needed to become to be able to serve others the way that I'm now able to serve others. And there's a lot of life lessons and a lot of hardships that had to come from that.
Right.
But I was able to endure it. You know what I mean? So like, I don't regret my past. We talk about this all the time. I would not change a single fucking thing about my life. I would do everything all over again, exactly the same way, even the foul shit.
Yeah.
Because it's made me the man that I am now. And now I'm at a season where I can start changing lives. So
I would only go back in time and kick myself in the nuts and invest in Google.
Bitcoin.
Google, Bitcoin, all of it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't either. Same thing.
There's an emotional maturity that comes from that, because when people would be like, I'd make sure I didn't go through this. I'd make sure that I didn't say that, because we all lay awake at night going, in third grade I said this. That was so stupid. Why did I say that? You know what I mean?
Dumb stuff, man. But I do like. There's things I lie awake at night.
Yeah.
And it's not. Did I forget to turn off the coffee maker? It's not. Did I forget to lock the door? I think about dumb stuff.
Those things mold us.
Yeah.
It forces, like, you are processing things. Some of it's embarrassment.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. What do you think my nickname is? Guess.
Scooter.
You mother. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it really?
I swear to you on.
That's funny.
It's a Scooter Ray. Yeah, that's family name. And it's so funny because I'd get ate up. One of my mom's friends would be like, "Hey, Scooter." No. Steve.
Did you put the extra bass in your voice when it happened like that?
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Sister's friends would say it. I don't care how hot they were. No, my name's Steve.
That's funny.
That's their name. Like, that's their name for me. You know. And when my sisters were real little, they would call me. They couldn't say Scooter. It was Doo-doo. Doo-doo, let me have it. You know.
You are really just putting all of it out there.
What am I gonna? You want
Doo-doo?
Doo-doo. Yeah, it was Doo-doo, let me have it.
That's
yeah,
funny,
and that had been that's been a bane for like over 40 years for me, man. When I grew hair on my chin and my nuts dropped, I was like, oh, I could shed the Scooter and be Steve On. You know what I mean?
You're becoming the fancy Urkel.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and I really hate that too, because I got a lot of shit for that.
Yeah.
That's when I shortened it. I mean, I shortened it even more. Just call me S at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. TGIF. Oh, fucking Steve Urkel. But yeah, that's two very embarrassing things in my life that I harbored a lot of resentment towards people, because when your family calls you by your nickname, right? Hey, Scooter, or Scooter, it doesn't have any negativity to it. But when you get that one asshole, I'm gonna say it, you get that one asshole that's like, hey, Scooter, that kind of shit would get to me.
Yeah.
And I would get angry to the point like, I'm a fight. But when I turned 18 here in Chin, I didn't have to worry about that no more.
Yeah.
No one ever knew. I didn't even talk about it.
Well, now everybody knows.
Yeah, that's fine. But
yeah, that's fine.
you know what's funny about it is my wife still won't call me that.
No.
It's babe, honey.
Yeah.
My favorite is I love you. And I'm like, what do you want? That's the next response. There's nothing wrong with that. I've been with her 19 years. She has seen me at my best. She's seen me at my worst. She is the true constant in my life. You know, absolute true constant. She has never faltered, never wavered. Yeah, we butt heads. What married couple doesn't? I mean, we usually butt heads over like what's for dinner. I can only eat something so much before I'm like, can we do something else?
Outback.
Oh man,
Their mac and cheese is so good.
So we've had that every day this week.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, no.
I can do a
I can't.
cheeseburger pretty much every day of the week.
I mean, cheeseburger.
The problem is their burgers are either really, really good
Yeah,
or not at all.
or not at all. There's no consistency. But yeah, she, She's my rock, and I'm her protector.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
This was in the Warrior Poet book. I am the conqueror, and she is unconquered, and she can't be conquered, which is like fucking awesome.
It's the point, though.
She's my muse.
Right. You're supposed to always be trying to win that.
Yeah. So when she touches my butt in the kitchen or smacks it, the dumb little things that sound annoying to other people, I appreciate those.
They're victories.
Because she's thinking of me.
Yep.
That's right. But, you know, saying she gave me a son. My son's awesome. I love my kid. He's a little rambunctious, way rough around the edges. Takes a bite, runs around someone's living room.
Pounds on the wall.
Pounds on the wall.
With his greasy little pizza hands.
Oh, don't tell me that. Now I got to go over there and paint.
No. All right. So we're going to wrap this up because we're 2 hours in. I want to ask Steve.
Wow.
Husband, father, veteran, patriot, podcaster, tattoo artist. How does your titles differ? In order, how do you see yourself?
How do I see myself?
Yep.
Husband, father.
Husband, father. That's it?
That's it. Everything else is superfluous after that.
Yeah. Everything else is just a job.
Career.
Career.
Because if it's a job, I hate it.
Okay.
Everything's a career thus far. Yeah, husband, father, man.
In that order.
In that order.
All right.
It has to be for me. You know what I mean? I can't do it without her.
Right.
You know, and I'm blessed. Don't get me wrong, I'm blessed. I want to add into that one day God when it comes to that hierarchy. We're probably talking about two different things because I'm dumb, but in that hierarchy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where does he go?
Yeah. Well, for me, the reason I asked that is because everybody wears many hats. Yeah. And a lot of those hats are superficial. They're literally just roles that we have to accommodate in our lives.
Yeah.
But the ones that really matter are the titles that you give yourself. So husband, father, and nothing beyond that shows where your priorities are. Yeah. Everything else is secondary to those things. So that's why I asked that. Do you have anything else you want to add so we can wrap this up?
No.
Okay, because we have to finish getting your section together back there so that we can.
I'm sorry I took so long and ranted.
Your thing. That's all right. That's what we do. But this is a get to know Steve, so everybody gets to know you now. So
enough there.
Yeah.
I was all over the place. I'm horrible at this shit.
Well, you'll never have to do this again, so that's a plus.
And if you don't want to.
And you'll be able to chime in randomly while we do our live stream. So
I'm about it.
I'm glad you're here, Steve.
I'm glad to be here with y'all and the fellowship and the. I've always enjoyed y'all's company.
Yeah, it's been 3 days and my life is already easier, so I'll take it.
Well, let me put that pin in my hat.
Yeah, she got back here before I did. And she's like, is Steve coming back? I'm like, yeah, I hit the house, he hit the other stores, and we're going to get back here and get everything done on time. This is so much better having an extra person. Because she got to do Hobby Lobby. I got to go home and grab all the shit that I needed. You hit Best Buy and got the weights for these things. And like, we basically came back within 10 minutes of each other.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about all that? It's the first time I've ever gone out having to walk into those stores. I didn't have to move anybody.
No?
No, it was like parting of the Red Sea, bro.
That's funny.
People just moved out of the way. Almost like I don't.
You were walking like you had a mission.
No, I was. You know what goes through my mind most days? You ever hear Homer Simpson do the fanfare? No, 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 no. Hey, no, no, no. That whenever I go to grocery shopping, clothes shopping, anything, that's what's going through my skull at any given time.
What's yours?
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces pass, and I'm homebound. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
I love it. You would think a guy like me, it would be like a Pantera song or something like that. No, it is literally, even when I'm talking to a client, no, 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 hey, no, no. Because if I concentrate too hard on the task at hand, I'm gonna fuck it up. Mm-hmm. So,
all right, guys. Well, that's it. We're 2 hours in.
Yep. Yay. Sorry.
We will hopefully get this up by next Friday. That's irrelevant to you guys listening. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay.
No gaps.
Yeah, I have no idea. We'll see.
All right.
AJ, have fun editing this one.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, you are the author of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.